Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. Now, we've reported on this channel quite a lot over the years of what's been going on with Warner Brothers and Discovery after the merger and pre-merger and what David Zaslav going through and cleaning house and everything else. Well, obviously, David Zaslav is only one man, and his cleaning of house can only go down so far. And ladies and gentlemen, one of those situations where he did not get all the way down to scrubbing that is none other than Rocksteady and the people over there at Warner Brothers Games who were responsible for the wonderful and extremely unsuccessful of a disastrous dumpster fire of a game that was called Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League, a game that has absolutely lost the majority of its player base from the initial point of going out there, and now the company is absolutely admitting in their latest earnings call that this game absolutely failed miserably. It was an abysmal dumpster fire of a trash heap, and it is now not looking good for them out there at all, boys and girls. There's even rumors floating around now that potential sell off of like Warner Brothers games and other things like that. At the end of the day, they might sell off some of their game studios and stuff like that, but they're definitely not going to let go of any of the IPs that they currently hold on to. They might just even farm things out even more to other companies, much like what they did with this game, Rocksteady. But again, once again, this was a company that we knew had been drastically overtaken by the cult over the last few years, and color us shocked there. Things are not going very well in any way, shape, or form. So we're going to check out this article from That Park Place, getting all of the juicy details of exactly how much they have lost in their gaming revenue after such an incredibly successful year last year with Hogwarts Legacy, which is a wonderful game that I absolutely love and have enjoyed it, and I cannot wait for the Quidditch game to come out. But at the end of the day, boys and girls, this is the problem with not being able to pay attention to everything that you've got going on out there, and why some of these companies are just way too big for any one man to be able to put a handle on all of it. So we're going to this article from That Park Place, give you all the juicy details. Before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already. Because, boys and girls, by the time you watch this video, we might have already crossed that 1,100 subscriber mark. We're on our way to 1,200, and we could not do that without every single one of you. Also, leave us a comment in the section down below if you thought the Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League game might actually be kind of fun, or something that might actually be kind of interesting, but then after you saw all the nonsense, you saw what the game actually entailed, you were one of the over 90% of the player, 98% of the player base that completely and totally checked out, or if you didn't bother at all because you knew exactly what this was going to be. Let us know what you think about all that down below. All right, from our dear sweet John F. Trent over at thatparkplace.com. Warner Brothers Discovery reports game division saw 41% decline in revenue after Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League has lost over 98% of its players, right? And this is one of the problems with a situation like this. This is what I used to say when we started to see a lot of this activity, a lot of this checkboxing, all the diversity kind of stuff from the video game industry. When we started to see a lot of that, I always figured that the video game industry would have to turn around the fastest when it comes to this kind of stuff, because you slowly start to see some of Hollywood start to turn around now in certain places and certain aspects. But the video game industry is much different, right? Hollywood is these giant studios. They produce lots of movies every year, so they can have flops, and then their successes will make up for the other ones. And of course, they've got all their fancy marketing and accounting that they can do behind the scenes to try to cover up all of their losses, right? A video game studio cannot do that. The majority of video game studios out there are not large enough to handle 5, 6, 7, 8 games at a time like the Hollywood studios out there can handle that with movies, right? Most video games take years and years and years, sometimes a decade in development or more before something's finally released. And a lot of studios, especially some of the smaller ones, will only work at one game at a time, sometimes at most 2 or 3. And this is why it will shut down studios and turn things around so much faster in the video game industry. And now even Warner Brothers has to admit this is not working in any way, shape, or form. Warner Brothers Discovery continued to admit that Sweet Baby Inc. influenced Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League was a disaster for the company. Yep, that's right. Our dear Sweet Baby Inc. Yes, you know, the LGBT alphabet soup mafia out there that uses mob tactics in order to push the agenda on force all of these companies into kowtowing to their requests. And of course, once again, causes another example of why go woke, go broke absolutely exists. And yes, no matter how many times you try to say, oh, Sweet Baby Inc. is a consulting agency, then why is it every time we turn over another woke game that is a disastrous dumpster fire, we seem to find a Sweet Baby Inc. or one of their other affiliates connected to it? Methinks we're starting to see a pattern. In the company's earnings release for its 2024 quarter 2, the company revealed that the games division revenue declined 41%. It states, games revenue declined 41% ex-VFX, primarily driven by the weak performance of Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League this year, compared to the strong performance of Hogwarts Legacy in the prior year. Hogwarts Legacy was the #1 selling game of the year last year, boys and girls, and it's still fun to play. On top of the revelation that revenue declined 41%, the company's CFO, Gunnar Winfield, commented during the company's earnings call. While, as we called out last quarter, games are still struggling against last year's Hogwarts Legacy comp and a muted response to Suicide Squad this year. Muted? That's a nice way of saying you've lost 98% of your player base on Steam since the game launched. Yeah, muted. That's a nice way to put it. The company's CEO and president of global streaming and games, JP Perrette, also addressed the game on the call as well. He said, the reality is we've had the unfortunate, in the short period of 12 months, we've been from having the record year that we had in 2023 with Hogwarts Legacy to unfortunately having the opposite side of that spectrum with Suicide Squad. Yeah, literally the direct opposite. A game that literally was the number one selling of the game of the year, made you hundreds of millions of dollars, to something that cost you hundreds of millions of dollars. Literally, Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League completely and totally negated and removed all of the profits made by Hogwarts Legacy. And that's insane. Winfield's previously detailed the company's 2024 Q1 earnings call that the company saw a $400 million plus year-over-year decline. $400 million is what they lost because of this abysmal game that decided to turn your favorite heroes into the villain and mock them and kill them off with a bunch of B-rate villains. Boy, I wonder why that flopped with the audiences. He shared, starting with the studios, the $400 million plus year-over-year decline in quarter one was primarily due to the very tough competition we faced in games against the success of Hogwarts Legacy last year in the first quarter, in conjunction with the disappointing Suicide Squad release this past year, which we impaired, leading to a $200 million impact during the first quarter. $200 million. Just because of what Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League did to their sales. That's insane, and that is something that will shudder studios, boys and girls. I wonder how long Rocksteady is going to last after this one. During the company's 2023 quarter four earnings call, Zaslav hinted that the game was a big miss for the company. On the theatrical and gaming side, while we did have some real misses this year, we also had some really big wins, including Barbie, yada, 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 Hogwarts Legacy, yada, yada, yada. This year, Suicide Squad, one of our key video game releases in 2024, had fallen short of our expectations since its release earlier in the quarter, setting our games business up for a tough year over the competition in quarter one. And yes, that's the case. And why? In the last 24 hours, the game's peak concurrent number of players was 229. That's a decline of over 98%. And their peak wasn't even higher. Their peak was a 13,459 when the game released. Everybody knew what this thing was going to be before it came out. Hot garbage mess. We saw the trailer. We saw that not only were you going to use a bunch of B-rate villains to try to take out the strongest force in the DC universe, the Justice League, we also saw all of your checkboxing, all of your diversity requirements, and everything else. And from all of the DLCs you've had ever since then, it's just been nothing more of the same. Having Joker make gay jokes and race swapping and gender swapping Mr. Freeze. Wow, I wonder why you failed. And literally, the only people out there not knowing this was coming was either people not paying attention inside of Warner Brothers or Rocksteady. Because every one of the fans knew this was coming. And now, because once again, go woke, go broke has proven true, and you kneeled down and bowed before the mob's tactics out there, you took their protection racket, hoping that the rest of your fan base would stick around. Well, guess what? That's failed, and it has now cost you over $400 million. $500 million almost. Congratulations, Rocksteady. Congratulations, Warner Brothers Discovery. And congratulations, David Zaslav. You've once again found out why going woke doesn't work, and it will end up just making you broke. After all, you did it to yourselves.